Hi everybody, it's Monday again, and I've been making some cards. I fell in love with the stamp set from Our Daily Bread, and let me show you that stamp set. It's called Joy in a Jar, and I've got some ink stain on some of it, so it might be a little bit hard for you. Oh, okay, here we go. Now you can read it. Anyway, it's from Our Daily Bread, and it's called Joy in a Jar, and they are ornate jar labels, and they have such really beautiful sayings on it. 100% pure, all original, blessings in a bottle, bottle of prayers, jar of hope, joy in a jar, extract of mercy, patented mixture, Holy Spirit, let's see, only the finest ingredients, essence of forgiveness, guaranteed forever. And then some smaller ones, and then there's even one here in the middle where you can take it apart and then you can add all of these different sayings and make your own. And I did that with a couple of them also, a couple that I made. So let me show you the card that I made with them. What I did is, you know, I love to play with my Tim Holtz dies, my Sizzix Bigs dies. So I took this one, the Apothecary bottles, and I cut out several of them, and let's see, I've got a couple of others that I didn't use on this card, and I stamped them. And this is one that I just put together. These were the ones that are already made. Here's some more that I didn't use. This one, okay, so this one I used this stamp in the center. Let me keep this underneath here so you can read it. I used this stamp in the center, and then I used 1, 2, 3 other stamps in the center of it to make my own label. So there's a lot of versatility with this stamp set. And so I ended up using 4 of the jars on the front, and 2 of them I put just flat on the card. But let me tell you first that underneath there is a piece of pink cardstock with the Cameo die as a background, and I used the Memento Angel Pink to ink around it, and then I also used the Distress Doily Tim Holtz die. I love my dies. And put that underneath, and so this would look like a shelf that the bottles were sitting on, and then with a doily hanging over. So I popped up 2 of these jars. Okay, so, and I inked this also with my Angel Pink. So then on the inside I used, this is the mini cabinet card die. This the nope, this is the big one, sorry. It's this one, the vintage cabinet card die, and I use this Angel Pink around the edges again. And here's one of my jars that I had cut out and then I had stamped. And then this stamp is one that my girlfriend and painting partner Donna Harcourt has in her stash, and I just absolutely loved it. It's called Hope, and so I use the Jars of Hope label on my jar inside here. For I know the plans I have for you, I'm trying to read upside down, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And that's from Jeremiah 29:11. And I absolutely adore this stamp, and she allowed me to stamp some on some cardstock quite a while ago, and I have several of these in my stash. And what I did was I tore the edges around it, and I tore it forward. Let's see if I can find, okay, here's the cardstock that it was on, and I tear forward because in doing that you leave some of the rough paper core exposed, and so it takes ink a lot better, and it makes a really nice border color. So I glued those down, and this is my card. And this is an inspirational card, and I'm going to, before I take the picture, I started the the video before, I hunted for a stamp, but I'm going to put a little sentiment stamp up here as well in black, and then I just added a little charm because I thought it just needed a little bit of metal and a little bit of bling. So this is my feminine inspirational card, but it's not overly flowery. It's not shabby chic. It's not going to offend people who don't like all the frou-frou, but it's also going to satisfy people who do like frou-frou. And then on the inside is an extremely inspirational Bible verse, and it's easily done. So that's one of the cards that I've been making this week. Now I'm going to move these things out of the way and show you something else I've been doing. And I used, this is on a totally different look now. Get rid of some of those. Okay, I used the Tim Holtz bird feathers, brand new stamp set. And then I also used a leaf set that comes from Lost Creations. This comes from Lost Creations art. She's a stamp company. She makes her own stamps, and I'm looking for her card, but she was at the Heirloom Stamp Show that I was at a couple of weeks ago, and I got several stamps from her. Quite a few stamps from her, and I love her background stamps, and this is one of her good ones. So what I did was, when Archivers closed, they had clearances of everything they had, and so on the last day at 75% off, this was an $11 package that I got for $1.25, and it's just kind of manila blank scrapbook sheets, and I've been using this to make all kinds of things. So anyway, this is what I started out with. And I started out with archival inks, Wendy Vecchi archival inks, and I have fallen in love with these inks. Absolutely fallen in love with them. So I'm using potting soil and tree branch, leaf green, fern green, orange blossom, and dandelion. Okay, and this is what I came up with. That's what I ended up with. I started out with a piece of paper, this piece of paper, and when I got finished, I used my Cameo die on this one, and this is all from this one piece of paper. Cameo die, the ATC and Corners die, this one, so there's a little ATC form. I used my mini cabinet movers and shapers die. And then I used, just so as not to throw away any part of this page, I used my two oval dies. And this one, actually, I ended up getting over here. But I thought, you know, I can still use this because I can always put something over top of that, or I can maybe sand this part down or put an embellishment on it and use this as a tag. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 usable pieces out of this one small piece of paper. So let me show you how I made all of these, how I got these backgrounds, and I'll kind of keep these here while I show you, so you can see what I'm working towards. Okay, so the first thing I did was I took the background stamp, and I also took a blank piece of scratch paper, and I started inking my stamp randomly. This is fern green. I'm going to use dandelion, and it's okay if I go over top of where I already went. And let's put some tree branch on there. Okay. Then I'm going to stamp it on my sheet, and then I'm going to come here and stamp it on my cardstock paper. And I don't have an acrylic block on this stamp. It's because it's substantial enough to just work with itself. And so then I have a second generation stamp. So now let's use a couple other colors. Let's go with a darker yellow, a brighter green, and a little darker brown. See what we get. Let's come back to our sheet. Stamp off. And now I'm going to stamp on here at an angle, overlapping where I've already been. Okay, you see how we're building this? So let's come back and let's once again mix and match our colors. And let's go right here. Oh, and you know what I didn't do this time? I didn't stamp off. So now I've got a little darker. Okay? So let's go back in here now with a brighter yellow. And I'm going to put a lot of that on this time. And my bright green, my leaf green. And a lot of that on. And just a tiny bit of my tree branch. A little bit of the brown, not so much. And I'm going to stamp off. And stamp on. Okay, so we're getting covered. We're almost there. Now we just basically have to kind of do some of the corners, some of the edges. And I'm not going to stamp off this time either. I'm going to come up in here. Alright. So I think maybe one more inking. Let's go with the bright green. We got the dark yellow and the lighter brown. Let's stamp off. And let's take care of our corners now that need covering up. So this is why I don't have the acrylic block on it, because I want to be able to manipulate this stamp, because I'm doing 3rd and 4th generation stamping here now to fill in the blanks, and I want to vary my pressure. Okay, so now we're covered. And that was using orange blossom, potting soil, leaf green, fern green, dandelion, and tree branch. And you get a good look that could be used for spring, summer, or fall. If you wanted more of a fall look, then you could add on one of the, let's see, one of the red colors, the red geranium or the carnation red, I think would work. Okay, so did that, and then I came to my bird feathers stamp, and then I just started randomly stamping all around the page. So I'm putting in my little, this is the little numbers, and I'm putting this just anywhere around, kind of filling in some of those little light spots that might still be there. You can change the angle at which you stamp, and also whether you do it 1st or 2nd generation. Now I did all of this in the tree branch. Tree branch. Okay. And this is really pretty simple and quick process. Now I want to use the feather that's on there, a bigger stamp block. And let's see, let's use some dandelion and some leaf green. Let's get some brightness in. Okay, now again, I'm coming over here and stamp off because I want this to be in the background. So you see, get that in the background without cleaning the stamp, because it's okay with me if the colors mingle. Now this is a lighter color, so I'm not going to stamp off. I'm going to come over here and get it at an angle. Okay. And let's try some of the dark green. Now this is darker, so I'm coming over and stamping off. And let's lay it across here. You want to do these things. That didn't show up. Let's do it without stamping off. You want to put these elements in odd numbers. So I've got 3 feathers. So I can either stop there or I can do 5, but I can't do 4. Don't want to do 4. So I'm going to stop there because I have some other things to add. So next I'm coming for the nest. Alright? So I'm going to take the tree branch and ink it. This is our lighter brown. I'm coming back with the darker brown and I'm going to stamp over that randomly. And then I'm going to put some of the dandelion here and there. And I'm even going to put a touch of fern green. Okay. And I'm going to set that right here. And if I want to really make sure that I get a good stamp, I'm going to turn this over, hold it with one hand, and spread with the other. And there's my nest. Okay, I'm going to do one of those. I'm going to do this larger bird. I'm going to do it in the darker brown, the potting soil. And I'm going to put him right about there. Let's once again turn this over and get a good stamped image. There he is. And let's go with this bird. And I'm going to put that one in. Let's try the orange blossom. And put him near the nest. Alright, there we go. Didn't use the eggs in this in this collage because I didn't feel like it really served the purpose of these colors. So that's how I made and covered my my page. And then I took my various dyes and used them to make the most out of my page and to use all of the elements. And so see, this one is a little different from the first one, and I'm going to go and do the same thing with this one, and I'll have a lot of other background elements and like an ATC base and a little tag and some different things to make use of my page. One thing I forgot to mention when I was showing you this card, and I just realized that, is that I also used, let's see, let me find my other Memento ink. Okay, here it is. Alright, so I used the Angel Pink to go around the edges of my background piece, my lace, and my sentiment. But I also used the archival watering can to ink around the bottles because I wanted to kind of give an impression of aged glass. So that's what I had in my stash that worked the best for me. You may have something different. And then I stamped the labels with Memento Rosebud. And so you can kind of see how these two work together. They're both the blue-red, and so they match. So let me show you what I mean by blue-red instead of orange-red. There are blue-reds and there are orange-reds. See the difference? Where these two will go together, these two will go together, these two will not. They will clash. So pay attention to your reds. And I hope that you will try this stamp set. I hope that you will try this collage. And Birds of the Feathers stamp set has a lot of potential. It can be something like this, or it can be something in very soft hues, like using these eggs in like a robin's egg blue color, and coloring this with your Distress or Copic markers, and having the feather as a ghost. And then you notice that Tim Holtz's tag of March was also using this stamp set. So I hope you all have a good week, and thanks for hanging out with me on Monday morning again. Bye.